Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Thinkings podcast. This is our episode 5. This is already,
It's called Stories in a Box.
Stories in a Box. Let that sink in. Very, very interesting name for this for today's episode. So today's episode is going to be about movies and entertainment, but we're gonna focus mostly on like movies and shows. That's what it's gonna be. So before we start, just like in our last episode, we brought we created or we wrote down 3 different questions for this for today's episode. So just like the last episode, these are our 3 questions, and we encourage you guys to write down, in the comments, hopefully, because last episode we didn't have any responses yet. So we hope that in this episode we can.
At the time of us making this,
yes.
Hopefully in the future.
People answer. But So the 3 questions we have are what makes a good movie? So ranging from different genres, right? What do you guys think makes a good movie? Because I feel like that's a personal answer, really. People have different views on that. Then how have movies touched your soul in different ways? So like maybe you could talk about a movie or maybe a genre, the different genres of movie that maybe have touched you, have touched your soul better than others. Then the last question is, what movie or TV show made you look at reality differently? So that is another deep question. Mm-hmm. So before we start this, go into these questions, we want to briefly talk about the history of cinema. So when I was thinking about the history of cinema or like entertainment, I like to go back to just a long time ago, because all this started out, like how people used to tell stories, or how stories were like passed down from generation to generation, right? So, if we go back to, let's say, Africa, right? There were these people who were called the griots, right? There was the storytellers, pretty much, and they would tell stories, and some of these stories would definitely be passed down. You had maybe later on, you had theater sort of performances, right? You probably had
everything's much more physical.
Really, like even back then there's some things that were physical, like you had
a lot of things,
Coliseum, right? That was a form of entertainment. I guess some things range from like sports, but our main focus is like stories and movies. And so, and specifically we're talking about the story of like cinema, right? And so we start out with the brothers Lumière, so Auguste and Louis Lumière, and they pretty much created the cinematograph, which from what I read here, it was like a tool that was used to just record movies and just record short films. And the first, one of the first movies that they made, which was very popular, was Workers Leaving the Lumière Factory, which was in I think 1895, from what I see here. And then, from that, then we stem into other kinds of films. Now that you have the tool to record, movies, to have your stories out, right? And this is where the idea of stories in a box sort of it makes reference to that, because pretty much you had stories up here in your mind, and to me, I like to see that as a box, and then you transfer stories in this piece of equipment, which is a camera, which is kind of like a box as well. So you take stories from one box to another box, and you allow other people to see it, which is the pretty cool thing. And then you get into other genres of movies, or you have like silent films, right? Those were, I think, the next ones that were very popular back then. And then, of course, artists and different movie directors got very creative and started exploring different ways of making films, right? So you probably had, if we've seen any of the old Disney movies, for example, we have
Snow White.
You have Snow White,
the first really big one.
Yeah. You have the different perspectives and, drawing out different parts, different sections of a film, so yeah, it's movies are pretty interesting.
And movies and stuff, cinema, filmmaking was just like the segue into mass media for a lot of visual stuff.
Yes.
It's makes it accessible to a lot more people, even though technology might not be that accessible to some people, but if you had TVs, or now we have phones and everything, we could watch like everything. I remember when I was younger, I would just watch everything on the big TV because that was still during the time when like the iPod and like the really early versions of the iPhone were out, and you could really only just watch stuff like on the internet. But like movies and stuff would still mainly just be on TV. And I remember just watching. DVDs are now becoming more obsolete.
Yeah, I know, DVDs. I mean, listen, in once again, Cuba, well, I spent most of my childhood in Cuba, and I had one of those boxy TVs. And it was pretty cool because what I would do, I would actually turn it off and on, and I like to just touch the screen.
I used to have one of those too.
Yeah.
Turn it on and off, and the static would be...
Yeah, the static would just, that felt so, satisfying. And I mean, I guess that, well, when I then left Cuba and went to Haiti and the US, it became much more interesting because now I had access to the internet, and so I was able to see more things. And in Cuba, you have specific programs, like TV programs that are shown in specific times. Like sometimes here you can watch cartoons up to maybe 3, like even I guess back then when you would watch TV.
Yeah, channels.
The channels, yeah, but you can watch cartoons maybe very later on, or was it like that for you? Because for me in Cuba, you watch cartoons up to like a certain time, probably up till 4 or maybe 6, and then after that they didn't have it anymore.
That's interesting.
And then during the weekends, you would have specific channels that would show more cartoons, but there were probably 3 of them. But these showed cartoons maybe later, much more later, So it was like, I think it was a good thing because I think that's a good thing because people then, or like kids at least, can go to bed at a certain time. So they're not, stuck, right, on the TV. So.
Well, now we have like streaming services and everything.
Yeah, that's
good. We can watch
good.
everything instantly.
Yeah, and we cannot.
If we have like the premium version, we don't have to pay. I mean, we don't have to watch ads or commercials. I remember when I was younger, I would hate commercials because then I would have to go do something else for a little bit and then come back. But then also, looking at commercials was kind of cool sometimes just because of the toys and everything.
Yeah.
The other forms of entertainment.
Yeah.
But I always just wanted to watch my show.
Dude, who didn't? Even now, I get an ad every 5 seconds. It's not even a minute. Every 5 seconds, there's an ad. Like, dude, I saw this ad 3 times in a row. Same ad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think this is why also people can have short attention spans because, dude, the ads, the breaks between ads, you can't sit down and watch something. I think that's why I feel like I really prefer DVDs. Or even if I download a movie or something, I could just watch that.
Yep.
So, I mean, dude, I've been watching stuff on like Tubi. I get an ad, there's an ad break, but that's 3 ads.
Yeah.
In, let's say, 3 minutes.
Tubi is very good.
Tubi does a good job in managing ads, but other stuff doesn't. Anyways.
The first question.
Question. Let's see.
What genres do you like? What are your
genres?
Yeah. Or no,
what makes a good
what makes a good movie?
You go first.
I'll go first?
Yeah,
what
go
makes
ahead.
a good movie?
Yeah.
Well, it's very opinionated.
Yeah.
To me, a good movie has to have good visuals.
Yeah.
I can't watch stuff that do not have good visuals. I remember my dad was trying to show me like some old movies where like the colors like really off, or, like you could see the screen static. I can't watch those movies like just my eyes, I can't.
Yeah.
But then also there's other aspects like the meanings of the movies, and then also like genre and stuff. So, which is, I love sci-fi. We both love sci-fi.
We both love sci-fi so much. Wait, remember when we watched Children of the Corn?
Oh my god. Children of the Corn
That
was...
movie was...
It
It was a good story, but I feel like the visuals were very bad.
Yeah, it's a classic.
But
then if you look at it
oh
from
my
now,
gosh,
the special effects is actually...
dude, I mean, but listen, if you compare that with Space Odyssey though, and Space Odyssey came earlier than Children of the Corn.
Yeah, but then Space Odyssey is like an outlier.
I know.
Because look at everything else. Nothing was like nothing would match kind of like that.
Yeah, I guess
kind of cinematography, because not everyone, almost no one was like doing like that kind of same. It kind of formed a lot of new things.
I guess
a lot of
method.
A lot of sci-fi movies and everything make reference to that movie because it was so
important. Yeah, it was very important. Well, for me, it would be sci-fi as well. I also like history movies. I mean, I think that learning about history. I mean, I like history. Really, I like history and just learning about human, I don't know, behavior and different kinds of things like that. And so, you know, I remember watching All's Quiet on the Western Front, and that movie. At least I think, I don't know if there'd been another version of that movie, but the one that I saw recently, that was, wow. I mean, it was a very, you know, difficult movie to watch because, you know, a lot of people dying. It was a war movie. But, you know, even though, the story itself was, you know, and it made you think, it made it like touched your soul. It touched my soul in a certain way.
I think one of the things that a movie has to do well in order for it to be a good movie is have a good synergy between the different aspects that make that movie good, that make that movie.
Yeah.
And so there's like the way that it's filmed, and then the intention behind the meaning of the film.
Yeah.
If those things like don't correlate or correspond with each other, then it kind of makes the movie like bland a little bit, or it could like completely ruin it. I know Disney with their some of their older animated films like Tarzan and stuff like that. They try to make sequels for like movies like that, but then the animation would be like way off.
It would be a little off, yeah.
And then the plot was just not that great.
Yeah.
So it was not like a sequel, it was almost like a spin-off.
Yeah.
It was just like a spin-off movie, but they call it a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, I think, something that I've seen with some of the movies, like if they try to make like a reboot of the movie, it just looks, it does not look as great as the original. Like I remember seeing an ad for Lilo and Stitch, and I was like, what is this? Like they made Stitch look so uncanny, and I don't know, because it almost made me think of Sonic. Remember when they made Sonic the first time, how he looked so human?
They got bullied into changing him.
Yeah. And now we had a human Sonic, and now we have, I don't know, it was so, I mean, listen, I didn't think that much about it because, you know, every fan. I
looked at it, I was like, I'm not gonna watch that movie.
I didn't think about it because I'm not like a die-hard fan of Sonic. But when I saw the difference afterwards, I was like, this is a whole lot better. I see what
it is a whole lot better.
We're complaining about.
I don't know why when we think of something as live action, we think of it as hyper realistic.
Yeah.
I don't know why we want
uncanny valley effect.
We want to make something so realistic.
Yeah, they'll make it human.
Looks so weird.
I know.
Because like once we make it too realistic, it loses what it felt like before.
Yeah, it felt magical. So it feels like some of the movies, or if you're trying to make something look, you know, fiction, or, you know, comes from your imagination, it just looks like you probably put I don't know, costume on this guy, and hey, you know, act.
If you go back to Lilo and Stitch,
didn't feel like, you know.
If you go back to Lilo and Stitch, it's like Stitch, I feel like everyone would want Stitch as like a friend and everything after watching Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
But then like if you look at the live action, it might be a little off.
It is.
Man, I understand why people don't like Stitch in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Because he just looks really weird, like an actual alien.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that some of these movies, I think it's best to leave them as, you know, what they were. Right?
Yeah, I don't know why we're trying to make so many live action
films. I mean, you might just make something new. Just make something new. That's completely, you know, that's a whole lot better. There's a lot of people out there that have very good stories for, you know, many different kinds of things. Why do you need to, you know, go back? And I mean, I don't know. I also don't know if maybe they're trying to do this so the younger generation knows about these stories.
Yeah, they're like redoing it.
They're redoing
so that the younger generation can be exposed to the same story from the past.
But like, why don't you just maybe find a way to advertise the same old movie?
Because then it's the old movie. They need something new.
They need something new. I guess people are, I mean, listen, in Cuba, I would watch the same movie probably 20 times. I did not care.
So did I.
I did not care. But now that I have, you know, Tubi and I have YouTube, I can watch one movie one time and I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Which is bad because when you watch a movie again, you see a lot of different things. So, you know. Anyways, moving to the second question.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's the second question?
What is the second question? So, how have movies touched your soul in different ways?
Okay, so I can definitely answer with one movie that I really love.
Yes.
And it's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That movie is a good movie.
Good movie.
And it definitely tugs on my heartstrings because I kind of relate to that kind of background, that cultural background that they have. They're Asian and stuff like that, and it's kind of more progressive. Like the way that the daughter lives her life is more progressive in terms of like compared to her parents and her grandparents' traditional values. And then it's a really good mother-daughter movie in a lot of aspects. And then also, I really love how just really weird it is.
Yeah.
I really think that it's really creative in that way. You've never seen it?
No, I have not seen it.
You gotta watch it with me.
Yeah.
I've already watched it like 3 times.
3 times? Wow.
But that's actually one of the movies that I have cried.
Oh, I remember, because you said you cried in front of Matt, right?
Yeah, one of our friends.
One of our friends, he did. He never, we don't see Jake cry, so.
I don't show that much expression.
No.
But that's a movie that I don't just observe. I like to talk about that movie and like to make a lot of expressions during that movie or like point out a lot of stuff in that movie because there's a lot of times in that movie or a lot of conversations in that movie that I can relate to a little bit. Yeah. Not because they apply directly to my life, but I can see that in other people's lives around me and maybe people in my family as well. And I think that movie just has a really good way of portraying the meaning of just living, meaning life in a cool way.
I think for me, it's hard for me to watch movies that really make me cry or something like that. I don't know why, but it's not even a movie that can make me cry. But I have a few movies that I've seen that probably, like, I guess the movie that really touched me was All Dogs Go to Heaven.
I haven't seen
that movie. Oh, dude. I mean, I don't know if there are different parts to that movie, but at least the movie that I saw, that one made me so sad because dogs are such loyal companions. They're very. Sometimes I think that people don't deserve dogs because they're so good, but then I'm like, dogs.
Well, we super domesticate.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we can't, So, but I mean, I think that the movie itself is very innocent. Actually, it's kind of innocent because this is like there's this dog that is part of has a sort of a casino or whatever, which is very cartoonish, right? And he then finds this little girl that that sort of shows him love. He tries to help the girl find a family, and so it's like the dog died one time, but then he's able to, well, he sort of cheated death. And then he was born again, and then he's trying to find love. Mm-hmm. So because this little girl shows him, I guess, a little bit more purpose outside of the dog that he is, or that he was before he died, right? There's a sense of, it gets sad. It's like very depressing, and then the dog eventually dies, but he goes to heaven. Because I guess despite being a dog that owned a casino, or maybe it was very odd, he still was able to maybe, I guess, redeem himself, as a bad dog or something. So I don't know, that movie was very, it really touched my soul, and I kind of teared up when I saw it. It was sad. So
another movie that touched my soul a little bit. Soul.
Oh my God! Wow.
Soul is.
I like that.
Soul is a good movie.
Yeah. Soul is a very good movie.
I also like the way that, I don't know, the way that it looks. Mm-hmm. It feels like real life.
Yeah.
But an animation at the same time.
It feels like Ratatouille.
It does feel like Ratatouille.
Well, it is Pixar too, so.
Yeah. Well, Pixar is just really good at making their animations.
They make very good movies.
The visuals are insane.
Yeah. Pixar never displays. Oh, who else does it?
Moana 2 is coming out.
Moana 2, yes, and it looks good.
What do you mean it looks good?
The movie
good. Looks good?
No, like the movie looks good, and there's a villain that it's not. I don't know. People have been saying it looks good. I kind of looked at the trailer. It does not look bad. It's good that they introduced a new villain. They didn't reuse.
I don't know who the villain is. I need to watch the trailer.
Okay, all right, watch. But no, I think DreamWorks also makes very good.
DreamWorks is the competing company.
GOAT. Listen, we saw the recent Puss in Boots.
Yeah, that one was good.
Death. Oh my gosh, Death was I don't know. Puss in Boots was very good, and I mean, if I watch any of the Kung Fu Panda movies, I guess the first.
I didn't watch the fourth one.
I have not watched the fourth one. I don't think I want.
I didn't hear that was that good.
Yeah.
The villain wasn't that good.
Yeah, I feel like up till 3 is probably good.
Yeah,
the first one is the best.
The first one is so good.
Yes. Second one, it goes into the backstory of like Poe, and the third one is like, okay, I think
it goes even more into the backstory.
And then and I think we can end it there.
Yeah, and then the fourth movie tried to combine it.
Yeah, but it was like, I don't think that's good. I did not do it. I don't think we did. But I think, let's see.
Oh my God, you know what? Okay, there's like too many sequels for something.
Yeah.
One of them, including Ice Age. Ice Age has many movies.
And they're
making
good.
A sixth one.
There's 6.
They're gonna make a sixth one.
Oh my God.
They're making a sixth one right now.
Scrat, they're like, he died in one of them. Or I think I saw a fan fiction where he dies. He's taking care of this other squirrel, and then he dies. And that was the end of Skynet or whatever. Sky.
Oh yeah, Sky Blue. That was the end of Sky.
That was the end of
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Because it's not Blue Sky anymore.
Oh, what is it?
Doing it? I don't know who owns Ice Age right now. But I'm hoping it doesn't look feel too different.
I hope so too. But we don't know because
I also can't believe they're making a sixth one.
Yeah,
I thought that was the end of Ice Age.
But dude, good movies with like movies with very good sequels are like Toy Story and Shrek. Shrek is good. I feel like Shrek is up there. When it comes to making,
for some reason, it always like bombs on the fourth movie, and then they try to reboot it after. So maybe Kung Fu Panda will try to be rebooted.
Maybe Kung Fu Panda will try.
Because I know Shrek, they went up to 4 movies, and they're gonna make a 5th one.
Yeah, I know. I feel like they should stop. Because they might ruin it, dude.
It's gonna look. I hope it doesn't look.
Because listen, the old animation it was good, and I think that's another thing with animation. I feel like you want to leave it the way it is, not only because some of this animation makes it a whole lot funny too, because I think that when you make it too maybe real or something, it loses, that funny aspect to it. I mean, the old cartoons like Tom and Jerry or the Pink Panther, right? A lot of the things that the cartoons do don't make sense, which is the funny part, which is the entertaining part. A lot of cartoons I've seen right now make a lot of sense, bro. Or either that, or else they try to make it very real.
God. Yeah, but then there's also the shows, some of the classic cartoon childhood shows. They try to make it too simple in their reboots, like Ben 10. Ben 10.
Don't even talk to me about Ben 10. Ben 10 was so good. Then it went like this. They had this one kid. It was like they're showing this cartoon for maybe 5-year-olds. That's what it went. It went from like Ben 10. They're in this the alien one where like Kevin absorbs whatever, where he has the cool Omnitrix that looks like my watch, and then it goes down from that. I'm like, dude, why? It went from Teen Titans to Teen Titans Go. That's literally what happened. And it upsets me because it's such a good story, but you're trying to, I feel like certain cartoons should be for certain audience. If you're going to make a version of that, make it something completely different, please. Yeah. You ruined Ben 10.
One show that I can't believe. One show I can't believe stopped was Young Justice. Oh my god.
That was good.
Young Justice is so good, but
dude,
we have Teen Titans Go now though.
No, I don't like Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go is for little kids. We went from adult. Listen, the process of aging goes from being a little kid to being an adult. You can't reverse it. You can't. Let's at least go with that. Let's go with that, people. But yeah. Anyways, should we move to the third question?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
The third question is...
The third question is...
What movies or shows...
Let's see.
Made you...
Yep. What movie or TV show made you look at reality differently? I have two. But
you have two?
You have to.
You go first then.
All right. I maybe have more, but, because there's a lot of shows.
Yeah, there's a lot. We've seen so many things.
We've seen a lot of shows.
I think we're probably brain rotted. That's how bad.
Actually, every TV show and movie I watch has been brain nourishment.
Okay.
Now, I could start with Avatar, like the Avatar movies with the tall blue people. Not Avatar Aang. I'm sorry.
That one is one of mine.
Yeah, okay, you talk about it. But the reason why that one made me think about reality a lot is because in all the movies, there's a lot of science involved, and a lot of, I think a lot of it stems, or maybe part of it is the question that, are we alone in the universe, right? Mm-hmm. So this is other intelligent life that has its own culture, right? And what is very interesting is how it is all based on kind of like the Native American history, right? So some a colonizer goes to a place for a resource, and then it starts killing everybody and doesn't understand the connection between the people and the environment. Yeah. Which I think that's what a lot of the things that Avatar tries to show. You cannot have what you want if you take something out of what you don't want, or you can't take what you don't want because you want something that you want. And it gets into I like how the Na'vi people, or just any other people, any other tribe, is so connected to the planet itself. Mm-hmm. It's like they are literally I don't know, like walking agents, or just a walking life that is literally part of the planet itself. Because I know in our last episode, remember I was saying how I think that people that live in a world, like in a fantastic world, I see that they are, sometimes like if you talk about Lord of the Rings, how the people are very connected to the earth and their planet and their environment. And I think that the Navi people and just any tribe, right, it's very connected to the earth. And it's pretty cool how it's like, it's as if they can connect to the planet's history. It's almost like they can play a VR world or literally a video that was in the past. And they can even play with the sequence of life, you know, from being a young person to being an old person, which that was pretty cool. But I will let you go before I could say the second movie.
Yeah, I'll have to, let's see. I'm not going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender because that's more of something that just touches my soul more than it changes my perception of reality. I think one of the ones that definitely influenced my view of some things in life is Inception because of the dream, the way that they portray dreams. Because, oh my God, I love sci-fi, and that kind of dream applied with the way that they use dreams in that movie is kind of crazy, because I want to do stuff like that. And it just makes you think that imagine if you were in a dream within a dream, then are you actually part of the real reality? And are you ever going to wake up? It's one of the scary things about that ending of the movie. But that movie definitely makes you see things in a different way a little bit. Just also because of the character interactions and the way that the movie is paced is a little... I also like the action in that movie because it's... Sometimes I feel like if a movie is too much thought-provoking, like something like Space Odyssey.
We don't talk about Space Odyssey. Guys, that is the longest boring movie I've ever seen, even though it had very good like visuals. No, I wouldn't watch that again.
I think that movie was just hard for me to like think about. Yeah. Because I was getting bored.
It's very long and just so like...
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie, but it's just too like, it's very slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Really. But you know, when you mentioned about Inception, it makes me think of The Matrix.
Oh, that's another one.
Go ahead, talk. Take
The Matrix is... I love The Matrix so much. The Matrix spans across 4 movies, I think. But the first one's definitely like the best one, I think.
That's the one. I haven't seen all of them, but I watched the first one so far. I've only seen the first one.
Okay. But the first one is really cool just because also it was a revolutionary movie in terms of its cinematography. It makes you think about whether or not we live in a simulation questions.
Yeah, that is a question in physics too, I think, you know, whether we live. And I feel like it makes a lot of sense because, yeah, we don't know. I mean, there's even like if we look at certain animals, they see things that we don't see. And that makes you just think about a whole lot of other things that we do not see. And then there's the question of like consciousness, and then whether or not, you know, if let's say that we were to create a simulation that becomes so good that the people in it don't know that they are in a simulation, wouldn't that be the same thing for us? So, you know, and then it also depends on the question of like, I guess AI and you know, robots taking over, which is like Terminator. Like, you know,
one of the
content.
One of the things I was thinking about when thinking about the topic of whether or not we live in a simulation or not is I feel like it doesn't make too much of a difference whether or not we are. Yeah. Because if the simulation is accurate enough to be that close to real life, or if it's really close to real life, then how would you even be able to distinguish either one?
Yeah, it's true.
And would it even matter if you lived in either one if they're almost identical?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think about. I don't have an answer to that question.
No, it's a very deep question.
Well, in my opinion, I would
you wouldn't
indifferent.
Yeah. I mean, also, if this was a simulation, I feel like it's so good that you can't really escape it. Like, listen, what if this simulation that we lived in
Well, then that's
created the like Matrix movie, and it was like, okay, these guys know about the idea of a simulation, but whether or not they can't get out of it because we're not gonna make this error, guys.
We can't make out of it because imagine like something that you make in a computer trying to get out of the computer.
Yeah, you
that
can't
doesn't make
do
any
that.
sense.
Yeah, you can't really do that. So I don't know. But I was gonna talk about one last movie, and this was Interstellar.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite movies ever because I mean I love like physics and stuff like that, and I think that movie made me think a lot about the universe, where we are in relation to the universe, and the possibility of like other worlds. There's definitely other movies I've seen that show the differences in worlds and how is it that the flora, the fauna, and maybe the environments are so interesting and so sometimes similar to ours. And I remember there was something someone said about that movie, that the black hole that was featured in that movie was an actual picture of a real black hole that NASA found. Like they took a picture because apparently when they looked at the black hole, they had to sort of rotate the image at an angle so it looks like a sphere with the disc on it, with a disc around it. And I mean, black holes are very interesting because then it raises the question of like wormholes or like white holes, right? Where can that take you? And whether if someone enters it, you get what? Spaghettification, right? You get like stretch and just get lost and stuff.
Freaking die.
You die, really. And and then and I guess some of the things that made me, like, one of the things that really made me think of, when what's her name, Harper figured out the code. How is that information can travel through time with like gravitational waves or gravitational fields? It's definitely something we could get into because I feel like I like physics. I feel like we should bring someone in and talk about physics because that was like, I don't know. It was one of my favorite movies. And then, I don't know, and it makes you think of what's happening like globally, global warming, and how some people are, scared for the fate of humanity. How is it going to be in the next 100 years or something? I mean, I don't think we'll be alive in the next 100 years, but
there definitely also there's like some different movies and shows that reflect like real life. Yeah. That make you think about the current events and everything. One of the shows I know is The Boys.
Hey, The Boys.
The Boys is
maybe The Boys.
It's not only a good show because it's different in that the superhero world in that world is not really a superhero world. No. It's just superpowered beings like trying to be superheroes. Yeah. But then you also get a look on different perspectives from. It's like how do I say it?
It like shows what the actual effects on the superheroes is supposed to be, because because if you have all that power, and especially what happened like Homelander, how he was raised and stuff, it's very, I guess it shows the true like psychological effects, which is I think one of the most interesting parts of the show. Is like, how is it that power can like corrupt people either way. I guess that is why, remember in the episode of like An Escape from Reality, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but if humans were to have power, it would probably be like one of the worst decisions, like actual powers. It would probably be one of the worst.
I feel like it would depend who gets the power first. It would depend who would get it first.
But I think that since humans cannot regulate their emotions very well, it would definitely corrupt someone. And even if they can, maybe have control over that, at one point they're going to definitely snap. I mean, it might, like, one of the people that could definitely have that much power could be like a Shaolin monk. I think that those guys have the mental capacity. But if you give that power to any of our Gen Z, folks, no, they probably won't. I don't know. I think that they might not.
Power of invisibility.
I know what kind of man you are. But, it's like, dude, I don't know. Like, the power given to humans, I mean, even with little power.
One of the other movies that take another perspective on that is The Incredibles.
The Incredibles, yeah.
Because it's like people from the military, the government, or people who are picked from the government are given the powers to become superheroes.
I mean, we were having that conversation the other day about like Captain America and how he was like selected to be a superhero. But if he were to never be like picked, he would have never been Captain America. And it was like his whole entire story would have, his story is sad. Like I remember you told me that and I thought about it. It's sad how just because he was weak and not,
just because he's weak and he was physically not capable of like, or not able to join like the military and fight for his country, it just singled him out because of that. And he was like, he showed how much he wanted to do it. And I feel like sometimes when you're obsessed enough with something and you know how to, you know the vision, you know which way to take it, you can do it. And it was just really weird to think about how Captain America, the only way that he was able to be part of that and be as great of a person or seen as someone as great as a person as he was by other people, because he took the serum. And that's like really weird because that's like so fictitious. Like imagine,
it is sci-fi.
I know it's sci-fi, but then imagine like the only way you can do something is by doing something that's not real or imaginary.
Or I mean, I guess if you know that you're not capable of achieving this, that means your like dreams will be crushed because you're physically unable to this. I mean, I think one thing is having the will to do something, but I think maybe sometimes a line can be drawn between your will and what can actually happen, because I feel like sometimes things don't actually work out, you know, the way we really want them to. I mean, I think that some people should feel lucky and I guess grateful that they have at least the whole package that can allow them to be what they want to be, or what they at least, you know, aspire to be. So, you know, man, that got pretty deep.
No, imagine the Marvel universe without like any like magical beings or like superpowers or like any of those chemicals that can turn
I mean, hey, there's already
the science in the Marvel universe is what makes a lot of the superpowered beings and superheroes. Imagine without any of that, like Iron Man would not be Iron Man.
No.
Captain America would not be able to be Captain America. The only people that would be left would be like Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess the Iron Man suit is probably one of the most realistic ones to do.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, it is still like, far off. Like the arc reactor is like that's years into the future. I mean, you got to probably be like the smartest man. You got to have the intellect of like Oppenheimer, Albert Einstein, Stephen Hawking, maybe some other dudes, and then boom, make that, because there's no way bro just made an element in his garage.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I mean, I don't know, but I actually wanted to do that one time, but I'm like, I'm gonna kill myself. Yeah, I'll probably blow up. I'm trying to make an element, but.
Well, we've come to the end of our episode.
Yes, this is the end of our podcast. This episode. The end of our podcast, guys. We're not doing this anymore.
We talked about movies, TV shows, entertainment.
Yes.
And our 3 questions.
Yes. Your favorite genre of movie.
What makes a good movie?
What makes a good movie?
And then what
movie really touched your soul
in different ways? Yes. And then also what movies have changed your perception of reality a little bit.
Yeah, it is. So please, to our dear audience, could you please, guys, answer these questions in the comment section on our YouTube page? And you know, the questions are also on Buzzsprout and
you can. Yeah. There's fan mail. You guys can send us fan mail. There's
that.
Links to it in the description. If you look at our directory, any directory, there's in the description should be some things.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, and please let us know if you guys want any maybe other topics that we could talk about next. You know, we have some ideas, but we definitely
Or give us some questions.
yeah, give us some questions. Yeah, that would
That we
be very
could
interesting. Yeah. And you know, again, comments on anything that we could probably improve or any suggestions. So yep, this was Thinkings, the 5th episode, Stories in a Box. Let that sink in.
All right.
Thinkings.
Thinkings.
Thinkings.